In 1988, a rap group called NWA released a title called F the Police. As controversial as the statement was, the deeper issue was the continuous use of excessive force being administered in Black communities and communities of color versus white communities. There has been a long-standing issue with law enforcement using excessive force upon Black Americans since slavery, through Jim Crow, throughout current times. Many who do not witness such acts taking place in their communities cannot understand how some Black Americans can take such an opposing position against those who are sworn to protect and serve. Throughout history, Black America has always pointed towards equal protection under the law. And for us, that includes protection from the police, who have demonstrated the use of excessive force unnecessarily. To understand the historical relationship between the Black communities and law enforcement, let's examine the evolution of the police force. Slave patrols were a form of law enforcement, and slave patrols influenced early policing in the South. Slave patrols consisted of a group of white men who captured runaway slaves and returned them to their owners. They were especially cruel in how they captured and punished runaway slaves. The use of slave patrols was a way for wealthy plantation owners to maintain their status quo. It was slave patrols that enforced Black codes, which restricted the rights of Blacks in America. As policing has evolved over the years, one thing has remained a constant, and that is for some officers, not all, but some officers' ability to hide behind the shield while they exercise excessive force unnecessarily without retribution. This has manifested more in communities of color more than anywhere else in America. Back in December of 2022, Lee Wayne produced a report by the Bureau of Justice. That report showed statistics that demonstrated that the use of excessive force was higher in Black communities. I recall a personal story back in 2016 when I had just landed at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, returning home from a business trip. My wife called me frantic and asked me if I had heard of what had just happened. When I looked into the matter, I learned that the police had been ambushed, 5 had been killed and 2 wounded. A Black gunman had gotten upset over the police shooting of Philander Castile in Minnesota and Alton Sterling in Louisiana. Later that evening, in an interview with Dr. Brian Williams, a trauma surgeon at Parkland Hospital in Dallas, Texas, echoed how deep this concern is. During that interview, Dr. Brian Williams said these words: "I will support you, I will take care of you, I will defend you, but that does not mean I do not fear you." Throughout the history of America, a false narrative has been pushed that the Black community does not have respect for law and order. On the contrary, our Black communities are not a bunch of savages. Our Black communities are not ignorant to social norms. Our Black communities, like any other community, just desire equal protection under the law, to include those who are sworn to protect and serve. A good book that I would recommend for your Black History library is The Bodies Keep Coming by Dr. Brian Williams. Before we wrap up today, I want to make sure you don't miss this opportunity. The stories we've covered are just the beginning. At unlockingblackhistory.com, you can dive deeper with our free community, exclusive content, and a workbook designed to help you reflect and grow. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. I'll see you at the next video.